I remember we were just like talking how we met and how we really got this connection, and then you were like, yeah, like when I saw you, and then correct me, like you said, when I saw you, I see somebody who is loving themselves. I don't know if you said loudly or like expressively or obviously, and it's not annoying. And that was like, oh, I never really heard that feedback, that like people know how I move and how I'm like loudly loving and like just loving loudly, but like it could be also a lot. And then the fact that no, it's not annoying. Can you elaborate that expression? Why?
I think I noticed that because of the contrast with my process, because I think growing up and also today you get very contradicting input about loving yourself, and now there's also this like self-care culture, and growing up it was more of like some ideas around religion that are rather very contradictory to each other sometimes. And then in my own process, I guess I also understood this like self-love as something that leans into narcissism, or is not like taking into consideration the others enough, you know. And I think that time that we met, after 1 year trying to meet again, and for the first time, I think we shared like an intimate space. You prepared some chicken for me,
Indonesian chicken.
and we were at your place, and it was like very intimate. And I don't know, I got to see this part of you. Also, these photos that we took in front of the mirror. You remember?
Of course, when we were sitting on the floor.
Yes, yes, with mirrors. Like not one mirror, mirrors. And also we talked about documenting our lives, and we talked about talking to the camera, talking to yourself, and all these. And I guess it was the first time that I saw someone being so much into themselves in a way that didn't feel weird, or that wasn't charged with these other associations that I have with the idea of loving yourself, you know.
Thank you so much. And I feel like I understand you, I understand myself more too, in how people perceive my practice of loving myself, you know. And there are so many things that I want to share with you, and also want to hear from you, like your experience or relationship with self-love. All the things that you said before, my ears were like, wee, 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 like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So many realities, biographies, the way we were raised, religion as well, and then the type of discriminations that like limit, maybe even like put yourself in the reality that I don't even have the vocabulary to like self-love. This is when I started to think more about the self. Like my journey into this like self-love was like a big reality check. Like I didn't have a perception of a self. It was everything that I felt with this body, the way it was assigned, dictated, raised, treated, discriminated, was like, yeah, I was dissociating. No, there was not really, it's not really about the body, the self, that like, oh, I was just following the things that was given to me. And to go to like loving myself, I needed to understand who the self is before I even started to like think of how to love myself, because I also needed to understand what love is. Oh my God, so much. What is love? Oh, baby. Oh, I want to know what love is. You know, that's
Oh my God.
the self and planned a lot, like, you know.
Starting strong.
How was your experience growing up back home with this self-love?
Oof. I think in many instances I felt very loved by my family because I was the first of all grandchildren. So there was a huge excitement about my birth and my early years, and everybody wanted to spend time with me, and I was like also very social. But then you go to school and then you are confronted with so many other things, like, I don't know, like being soft in the case of like the boys, and then things that are more related to like your fundamental self as a kid. Like somehow you know that you are special, and sometimes you are told that you are smart, but then that you talk too much. Like most of the times I would say you have like conflicting signals that would really affect the idea that you have about ourselves. And in some cases, I feel in my case, there was a lot of confusion around these things. And of course, like, then you go to the teenage years and everything like doubles practically when it comes to the expectations around gender, what I was talking about, my voice, for example. It didn't comply with my own idea of what my voice should be as a guy, you know? So once I got rid of this idea, it was actually very easy, or it felt natural to be at peace with how I sound and listening my voice and being at peace with it. It takes a long time to get rid from all these constraints and reach a place in which you can actually even consider, like, okay, like, do I love myself? Why hasn't that been the case until now, you know? Like, I am amazed by how much I don't care about things now. You know, like, like, it didn't happen from one day to the other after turning 30, but like, I think it's somehow connected, you know? And I cannot believe there are people who are living like this already, you know? It's like an upgraded experience, you know?
New character unlocked.
Yes, yes, and I am loving it now, yeah. Otherwise, I couldn't come here and like talk to the void.
Yes. He told me about the experience of like being told that you are this, you are that, you know, because of like certain traits or like behavior you have with your neurodivergency. And I'm curious, like, what has shifted and changed from like misconceptions about how you then in the end believed of who you were, but now it's changed and you have new understanding of yourself.
I think these ideas around being lazy or easily distracted, that a lot of people who are neurodivergent grow up being told they are like this. I think once you realize that it's not precisely that is not your fault, there's a fundamental shift in how you go through the world, you know, you go about yourself. But another big realization that shifted the way that I understand myself is realizing that I am not always wrong, which might sound weird, but I guess that growing up in this world in which things are so fixed and in which people have such fixed opinions, somehow I always had this layer of doubt, especially when it comes to ethical or political things, you know. At some point, I kind of like accepted that I was wrong, that it was not possible for me to have an opinion, or that opinion wouldn't be valid because of these like doubts, you know. And then I realized that having these doubts is actually a good thing, because those opinions of people who were always like super confident sometimes were rather unrealistic, or coming from lots of denial of of people's realities, or one's reality as well. So I think that really, yeah, like changed how I see myself and how I embrace this. Like, okay, you know, I don't know everything. I'm not confident about everything, and that's okay like that. You know, I think now I'm more confident about what I think. You know, but like, there's always this layer of doubt that I don't see as something negative, rather as something that would keep the conversation going. You know.
Yeah. And that's also the part of like, when you are in doubt, it's like, I caught myself sometimes, like, for example, I judge myself, and then I judge the self that I judge myself. And it's like, oh, stop it. But then, like, really in terms of like, we call the term self-love, is like, even when in doubt, like this kind of things is also like, I am appreciating it. Like, there is always like voices that I hear in my head that sometimes also like still negative, that like, no, they have something to say, and it's okay to have this. There are days that I don't love myself too. There's like this like commercial way of like promoting self-love, that the modern state that we are living now, of like what is self-love, is like, go on a trip, book yourself a holiday, wellness day, and there's like this capitalized, commercialized, it's about doing, you know, like consuming as well. And yes, like, it's about also the self-reward, you know, like, oh, you reward yourself. And there are days that, first of all, like, not everybody have that privilege of like, treat yourself this way if you really love yourself, you know, like, okay, we have different realities, and to really accept, sometimes even to just like feel neutral when I'm like, oh, today I was just like so harsh on myself. There were words that I said to myself, and like, okay, that happened. And then next day, tomorrow is a new day. And the new day, I'm not even like really, tomorrow I'm going to love myself more, like, more of like also in a self-chill way of like, oh, you know what? I think this is also about aging. The part of like, what matters for me, I think more consciously, the things that I really need to think and even have doubt and question myself on things that like, no, I don't really think about it.
Yeah, I experience this as two different dimensions of yourself, you know, because also like that kid that was maybe bullied, that has all these like childhood like wounds, very profound wounds and insecurities, this exists inside you.
It's very resonating how you understand yourself with like these different dimensions, and I really feel it also like this inner, like there was this wounded inner child, like this little wounded girl as well, that I still call her a girl, you know, because she believed she was a girl back then. There was like the things that she was told, you know, who I was told who I was and how to use my voice, or even like there was no really vocabulary of my voice, you know, it was just like told more like how I behave and certain things, and so many things that I repress. And now that's why I don't judge myself. When I judge myself, that's how I practice it. Sometimes I still do it. It's just like this wounded little hurt kid needs space also to just like sometimes say the things that they were hearing back then, and then me now that are safer for her can also allow that to happen in the body, to just like, okay, I'm feeling super highly self-criticizing myself at this moment because, oh, I experienced a trigger moment that, for example, in the media, this is little side stories of like when I was doing shooting and working in television, like my mom would always criticize me and like did everything, like the hair, the look, everything was just like criticized how I talk. And sometimes she would like tell me also what to say in front of the camera. She wasn't even the crew, It's like, what the...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Another side of me, just a little bit that later at a queer exposed film festival.
Oh, yeah, some self-promotion.
Self-promotion later.
No, wait a second. So, Dira's film is gonna premiere in May.
In May.
Yeah. All the info below.
Yes, and we're talking about self-love. Back to the media. And then like now when I'm doing project with my friends and then doing shooting, and then I was just like criticizing myself so much that like, oh my God, this is like, it's still there. And like, and this pressure sometimes of like this therapy way of like goals to like, you need to love yourself every day. Like, no, there are days that I don't, and it's okay. That is, I think, the part of really the self-understanding, the depth of like your understanding of yourself. That's why like the self was like the fundamental thing, like not only figuring who I am, but how I was also. Like being a trans kid, a queer trans kid, not knowing and like being trapped in that circumstances that didn't allow me to express. And back then I didn't even know what to express. There was no options to like see, oh, can I use certain things to express a little bit about myself, and allowing all the sides of myself, the realities as well, is actually what is very what is it called, the word, not fulfilling,
Liberating?
not liberate, like satisfy, like it's worth it to do the work, the self work, to understand myself. It's like the present, the gift, not result. It's very
gratifying. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. It's very gratifying for me to. The goal is not to like love myself every day, actually to just understand myself better and deeper, and practice the kindness and the love that I receive from other people too. That's why this famous quotes of like, you cannot love others before you love yourself, I don't follow that. It's like a thing that is happening parallelly, or there is no timeline of what should happen at first. From my own experience, I didn't learn the love that is unconditional. It was with conditions, with circumstances, transactions, like until I needed to learn unconditional love, secure attachment, safe attachment, to like, I can breathe, and there are people loving me, and I started to believe about how I am moving in their world, their perception. And it's not a codependency thing, because it could that I'm like just like seeking external validation, and the game, like the moving, the dynamic is like, okay, I believe it now, and how do I create that power also in my own system, in my new map, in my body, to like, they love this about myself. Like, why do they love this about myself? And then I started to like, okay, actually, that's true. That's true. And there is flourishing, like flourishing together, And in other culture, how I grew up, even the collectivism is like the strongest act of love. It's not that's also how I needed to unlearn and relearn about how do I show up for others, and also have a conscious capacity and energy to show up for myself. And because here is very individualistic, self-love could also be really like individualistic and problematic too.
I think this also makes me think of this other misconception that there is around self-love, and is that wellness culture really tries to make you believe that self-love is an individual, spiritual path, when actually, if you are poor, discriminated against, overworked, there's no amount of inner energies, rearrangement or alignment that will change the material reality around you that actually makes you feel like that.
And that's also where community care also comes, right? Like if you are in that position and have that reality, it's like you don't have a little time in between your days to just like breathe, like then this is where we need each other, like because sometimes I think this self-love is like, no, you need to have it by yourself, and when you're alone that you show up for yourself. No, there are moments when, there are a lot of moments, it should be actually, where like really then the community comes to care, like to show up. And there are moments also where sometimes I don't, like, you need to learn how to ask for help, yes, and also there are moments when I cannot even ask for help, and like how we sometimes need to put more energy also to show up without at the same time tiring ourselves and sacrificing, and like really then in the end not being I don't like the word healthy, but present in where you are. This individualistic and collectivistic. Do you say it? The collective way of thinking that was for me already given by birth. That's how I was born, in an Indonesian family, and I was raised Muslim as well. And there were like things that I learned that the parents have like the highest saying, that I was really not thinking about self. I was thinking mostly about my surrounding. And then now being here, confronted with individualistic, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I could like go to that trap into like, oh, I'm doing self-love, but I'm like, no, wait, I don't really like, I like my collectivism approach. It's not, there are also people call it, oh, it's trauma response because you just want to care and blah, blah. I'm like, no, there's also just like a genuine human being behavior that was influenced the way I grew up with. And it's just there.
Yeah, don't want to get romantic, but I think this is like the thing with our community, or like the people that we have around. There is like a collectiveness in which you are allowed and set, not only allowed, but also encouraged to be yourself,
Yes, yeah. I told you there are days that I don't love myself, and then I would like call my friends and then text my friends, hey, can you give me like a compliment showers, or like things like list 5 things that you love and like about me, because like my heads are just filled with like all this me. And that's also the approach of like self-love. You need to do it like self alone, right? In front of a mirror, telling yourself that you are brave. You're like, I'm brave, I'm smart, I'm da. Yes, I do that too. And there are days that I cannot. And I need my peers, I need my family to help me love myself. And that's the beautiful part of like doing this as a collective journey, you know, like, and also sometimes like seeing my friends loving themselves more through the love that we are sharing is even like, it's then you feel abundance of like this kind of love that really nourishing our soul. Not only the well-being that we are like, oh, okay, did you go to a spa, this blah 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 blah. No, did you laugh from your fucking belly with your friends? Because like there's so many parts of how loving yourself is just not being presented in the media. Pelu is entering the couch. Hi.
Okay, Pelu, but don't be annoying, okay?
Sit.
Sit. Very good. Very
And
good.
then lean your face here. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Comfy. That's the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, the way I built this language and communication with my chosen family, with my friends, with our friends, it's like with you also, Pelu, is a creation how to like practice this self-love together, right? And then the way I receive, and I need to learn also to receive love, you know, really actively letting in, like receiving, digesting it. And I get that from my friends.
I think you're very good at it already.
I'm trying to be humble. Like, then I can experience the self-celebration, you know, how I celebrate myself. It's not only like loving, and there is a celebration part where I learn also in my time when I was teaching. I was a kindergarten teacher, and the things that we learn how to talk to kids, like every little things that they do by themselves, like the feeling of the self. Oh my God, this is so good, because we are like teaching or guiding them, accompanying them to like have the self-realization that they are their own person. They have their own voice since they were a kid, like having this autonomy. So every time they could finally like wipe their ass with their own hands alone the first time in the kindergarten, and we always give like a celebration, you know, like, oh my God, you did it! Like, this has to so good gemacht. And like really hyping up your like the kids, and it really influence how they see themselves, you know. It's not that we are like just giving compliments randomly, but there are things that I see how you put effort in it. I see how you like practice it. It's not
And
just
it's
like
now clean.
now it's clean with your own thing. Even sometimes when if it's not even clean, but like they learn the step to like, it's really a long step to go to the toilet. Like all these things, the tiny steps that you do is being appreciated when you were a kid, and when we are adulting, it just like stops. So I started to practice that in my daily life. There are days that I can do everything that like, oh, recording podcast with my friend, you know, like easy. And then there is day where I cannot even take a shower. I mean, those moments is really important to like, okay, give myself a credit, also appreciation, like all these tiny steps. Oh, I took a shower today. That was like a good job, you know, all these tiny steps that we tend to just like, it's happening already. It's an act of appreciating the self that helps us move more and gather energy also to then be in this collective cosmos, you know, like when we create that appreciation, really like appreciate.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you about the project, because this is the second episode that is going to be out, and this is our third shooting day. How do you feel?
I think it's like it's also a different art form too, because stage is different. This is now studio setting, you know, like on stage, like there is this stimulation of like being creative and creating something. And then this projects like stimulates me in like thinking, rethink more, and like talking to you, learning from you as well, from this process in a calm way, that I realize like having this structure with you, doing this and having like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this, it's giving me calm, like feeling of like we are not ambitious, like we know we are passionate about it, and at the same time like doing it calmly, and the energy, I feel the energy too, that yes, it's very calming. It's like a project that has more space to grow and to also just be, and learning of letting go certain ideas, like how the flow will go. Like before, with this episode, for example, I think today I learned more of like, I had a plan, what to say, the structure, and with that plan and structure, I could explore somewhere part of me that could also then exist in the structure that I really enjoy. Yeah. What about you?
I'm very excited to see it, you know, because before we were talking about it, and now I can see what it is and I can see the possibilities. Of course, this idea around how it's gonna exist in time, it's there, because yeah, it's nice and it's chill, but it is also intensive when it comes to the post-production, for example, and which is something I'm also passionate about. So like we're good, but you know, there's like these like questions there.
Yeah.
And I'll be very excited to know what people think. And you know, so if there's someone listening right now or seeing this episode, I'll be very happy to know what's in their mind, how they like it, and leave us a little comment there. Also, when we started, I told you it's hard for me to address the audience because there's no audience, you know?
Yeah.
At the beginning, but now like I've seen already a couple of comments from people and reactions of our friends, so it's a little bit easier. But I'm excited of like that part, which for me is when the magic happens, you know, like when like people see it and react to it. I'm excited about it.
I'm nervous also.
Really?
Yeah, I think this has something with the previous experience being in the media, like what it means being visible, you know, and like, and the me that is visible now is a different me that was visible in the media in Indonesia. So like there is a certain nervousness of like, oh, and sometimes like thinking of like, really, like, do people really want to listen to me? And like, all sometimes, see, talking about
why
no, I'm talking about the self-love thing. Like, it's there, this voices too, you know, like, do people,
but you know what, but the thing is that if they don't, that's okay.
Yes, yeah. That's true.
I don't know.
I think it's just like my own way of like judging my own perspective, my voice. I am very I have lived experiences that I think I have expertise in certain things that I want to say, and still the doubt sometimes like there of like the Berlin scene, you know, really, do I have something to say?
To say in regards to this experience of,
yes.
Yeah, but also like for me, that also like the Berlin scene is something that I see as something apart from me somehow, you know, because I think it's some kind, it's one of those things that is more like a construction. You know, that's a good topic for another episode too. But yeah, like I also don't want to live in a way that I need to comply to those things, you know, as well. And and as part of this like process that I was talking about, I think I just got to a place in which I care very little about those things, and I understand that that for you is related to other things. And like, but also at the same time, I think you care less about a lot of other things than me. You know, so it's and I don't know how it's gonna be in the future when we are confronted more with like comments and stuff like that. But as of now, I'm like really chill about it, which wouldn't have been the case a couple of years ago for sure.
Yeah.
And that feels good too.
Yeah.
Nice. Should we leave it at this?
Yes.
Okay.